So this section is for any of the event supervisors and assistants that are going to be running a lab or research-based event. So these are things like A for anatomy, solid liquids, and gas. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you write the activity one in accordance with the rules. Make sure you stick to the rules in the areas that are being asked for. And then you're going to create sort of 3 levels of items for the exam or the lab. Some that are very easy, in which almost everybody will get, some that are medium where some will get and some won't, and then a difficult level in which you'll get almost no one, especially on a couple items, no one will get. We want to make sure that no team can get 100%, and we want to get no team that can get a 0%, because if multiple teams get a 100% on this, then it's impossible to break those ties. So this is unlike a classroom in which it's okay to have a whole class or a large portion of the class get 100%, but since this is a competition, we have to break ties across all of the teams. You do want to have a system for breaking ties if you're going to run a lab or research-based event. And this could be as simple as identifying questions like question 1, question 3, question 5, which are tie break questions. So for example, with the tie break questions, you want to tell the students which are the tie break questions. And then if a student or multiple teams get ties, then you would go look at question 1, who won the tie, and then they get a more favorable position. So they might get 4th place, and then the team that lost would get 5th place. So you want to make sure you post this, but make sure that the teams know. And one of the thing about this is that you want to make your test so that it's more than 35 points. We have 35 teams in the competition. So if you made a test that was only 20 questions, it will guarantee that there's going to be a lot of ties. So you want to make sure that you've got a lot of points on this, and that will help mitigate the tie breaking. If you're going to do an essay, which I actually don't suggest, you will write the essay and then write the essay answer and identify factors that will make it ideal. And you'll make a rubric ahead of time. So you don't want to sort of do this on the fly. In other words, you write the question and not have an answer in mind and written down on what will make it ideal. So you'll break down that element of the answer and identify those characteristics which are absolutely important for 100%, which are important to get 80%, which are important to get 60%, and so on. So you'll come up with a rubric and constitute what determines awarding fewer points. If you're going to do any calculations, we also suggest doing a rubric. So let's say you're going to have students in which they are measuring the mass and acceleration to find a force. So let's say they measure and they find out it's 10.5 kilograms for the mass, and they find the acceleration 5.4. So these are not a word problem. Obviously, if it's a word problem and they're given the mass and acceleration, it doesn't come into play. This is only when you're measuring, and in any measurement, you will have error that's built into it. So when you calculate this, you find that the ideal is 56.7 newtons. But because they're measuring, it could be that even when they're careful, if they get anywhere between 58 and 55 for the answer, they would get full points. Beyond that, out to a range of 61 down to 52, they might get 3 points. And then if they're even beyond that, then they would get 0 points. So this is a way to use a rubric to account for scoring or measurement error when they are taking any kind of measurement in a lab. When you're designing a lab-based event, be very clear and concise about what you wanted to do, and stay away from tricky questions. We really don't want this to be about a student who's test savvy or lab savvy. We want this to be as clear and fair as possible, but we also want as much hands-on as possible, but list exactly what the students need to do. Make sure on any of the documents that you have a space for their team names and team numbers.